Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of One Vision, the Fintech Fuse. This is Theo, your host for today's episode. Joining us today are two old friends, and Kristen is a repeat guest of our show. So, welcome to the show, Kristen Castell, MD of Cafe, and Ryan Venderlic, the first time that we have the honor to host you on the show. And both of you guys are from the Center for Accelerating Financial Equity, a wonderful community for the fintech founders and alike. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Theo. So happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So let's kick off with, gosh, I lost count. How many cohorts do you guys have right now? The fourth one? The third one?
Yeah, so in Cafe, we do have a flagship accelerator, and we've gone through our fourth cohort.
Fourth one.
Yeah,
Time flies. Time flies. And you are hyper focused on advancing financial well being for LMI communities, which is an important driver for the economy, I would say. Wanted to ask you both any key insights from your first few cohorts that might have shaped how you structure the program today, and what surprised you so far?
Ryan, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Kristen. I would say, especially after going through now my second full cohort, so I have two under my belt, um, there have been, I guess, some learnings that have been clear that help to, I think, inform and guide the sessions that we like to set up and ultimately the impact we're trying to help our founders be able to go after and get. But I would say probably a couple of the main things that are just really central to ensuring that we are successful is the people and making sure that we have the right people who are collaborative, willing to, really roll up their sleeves and team up with one another to ultimately help our low to moderate income population out there. So, I think that's one of the most beautiful things of what I've learned from the first couple of cohorts and what I think we just have to continue to double down on.
Yeah, and I have to say, I like this format with podcast, Theo, with the three people. I had a radio show in high school with three people, and I think it's pretty cool to all chat. Um, But yeah, totally double down on what Ryan said in terms of just the magic of the founders helping each other, and that's the biggest thing that we've curated in Cafe, in our overall organization, and in our programs, with the founders, with the banks, with everyone else, is those mission driven people that are collaborative and instead of just competitive, right? And so bringing them together, and so. It's great that we're bringing in all these industry experts and giving these opportunities to meet banks and investors, but honestly, the best part is what Ryan just said, which is the founders helping each other.
That's amazing. And almost seems like at certain points in time, run counter to a lot of the things that we would expect from a startup ecosystem where you're all going for the bottom line, you're all going for how can we get ahead. And instead, both of you guys say focus on the people. That's what I love about you. From your vantage point, working with all of these founders and different startups, right, through the cohorts, how has the fintech ecosystem evolved? It's been a few years in terms of what things they're trying to tackle or how the banks and VCs are responding.
Yeah, I can start that one. The solutions are innovative, but it's really like new ways of doing things better in terms of reaching, our fintechs sell through financial institutions. So they sell their technology through banks or credit unions to the members, to the customers. How do they reach new people, or service their customers in different ways? And a lot of the products we work with are, things that you would think about for financial wellness and improvement, like different types of loan products for small business or for personal, different better ways of underwriting on both sides, so people can actually access capital, things like that. So we've seen that kind of consistently in products throughout the program. One thing that has changed, I think, over the last few years that we've been doing this is now everyone, or all the founders, have incorporated AI in some way into their technologies, right? So either in a large way, or they're like innately built on it, or in small ways throughout their business. And so that, as you might imagine, has really increased over the last year, especially.
It almost feels like remember, gosh, 2, 3 decades ago, I'm dating myself, when we're internet enabled is a thing and now is given, right? Everyone has to be online. All of the solutions have to touch the internet at some point. I feel like that's where AI is going to be like. It's going to be a layer abstract to everything that we do. We will get to a point where we don't have to talk about it anymore because, like you say, it is built into everything that we do. Um, that is fascinating. Let's talk about life after program completion. So after the cohort, how does the support ecosystem look like when it comes to alumni companies?
Well, I'll kick off with the kind of initial way we engage with our founders and then let Kristen kind of share how we're expanding in that arena. Once our founders kind of complete their 2 month accelerator, they then join our monthly calls. So we regularly connect back up with all of our founders, really get them together to be intentional so that they hear updates, about each other's companies, also opportunities or ways in which they can help each other out. Sometimes it's with intros, sometimes it's with true partnerships where they're then setting up extra meetings to work together on going after clients and solving their needs in a beneficial way together. And then ultimately, it's just that continual coaching, that continual availability of meeting at conferences or other events that we love to make sure we are surrounding ourselves with them and trying to really help guide them as they grow and their companies evolve. But I'll let Kristen kind of share how we're also kind of growing in that space too.
Yeah. So when we launched Cafe 2.5 years ago as a new nonprofit, it was always going to be larger than just an accelerator. And the accelerator has worked really well and has been really successful for helping support these founders and these technologies and connect them with banks and all of it. But we wanted to create more programs for impact and really scale the impact we can have all across the US and with all these fintech businesses. And so we just launched Cafe Founder Circles. And what this does is really curate that magic we talked about founders collaborating and group coaching each other. And so it's more of a bi-weekly program where we get 6 to 10 founders together and they start building those relationships with each other. Each session is focused on different topics that are important to them, like fundraising or selling to banks or like risk and compliance and other things. And really, it's about bringing in some industry experts, but really about the founders supporting each other with recommendations and connections. And so that's our second program that we recently launched. And then we plan to do more of that. We plan to do more thought leadership and partnerships and eventually launch more programs that still feel personal and are personal, but really can touch more of the industry.
And if I remember correctly, most of your founders, if not all of them, are practically everywhere, right? In the US. How does that work? I'm curious because I've had the opportunity to actually connect with one of your alumni companies locally. And it was beautiful because I don't always get to see people face to face, and just having the chance to touch base and grab lunch together was really nice. How do you envision that work as your cohorts keep expanding?
Yeah, and we are based out of the Fintech Innovation Hub in Delaware as we launched Cafe, but always were working across the U.S. And so Ryan can go more into the program, but we do find opportunities. The companies do come to Delaware initially to kind of spend time in person. Ryan, do you want to go through kind of?
Yeah, and then I would just add that, we are always curating in person events. Of course, there's a little bit more of a heavy emphasis on the East Coast from New York all the way down to Atlanta. But we are always trying to look for opportunities to be out on the West Coast. And then, especially, we're moving through the fall now, and a lot of our founders have been at conferences throughout the entire fall. So Kristen and I and team are always trying to get out and support them, meet them at conferences, and really just try to help expand those networks and opportunities for them. But kind of as Kristen had mentioned, the 2 month program has lots of engagement opportunities and ways where we are together with them in person, and then also jumping onto some virtual sessions and really guiding that support each step of the way.
So let me ask you this. When Cafe first started, Kristen, 2.5 years ago, you mentioned, gosh, time flies. It's about mission driven, right? And it still is. It's about doing good for the society while doing well. It's about bringing people together. It's about looking for ways to uplift communities that we don't think enough about. The challenge, though, is oftentimes when we run into founders who have good intentions of trying to do good, that's one part of the equation. Making it sustainable and selling it to banks that actually care for them to seize the opportunity to grow, that's a whole different side of the coin. Any lessons learned that you can share with us? And where do you see the biggest opportunities for impact for them?
Yeah, that's a great point because that's something that we talk to banks about and credit unions about all day long about, these products are doing good by their people, by their employees or customers, but also it can be good for the bottom line, right? So it's the profit and the purpose that comes together in the types of solutions that we help support the growth of. And so when we're working with banks, or we're positioning, and the fintechs are positioning themselves to partner with financial institutions, it's about both. It's about articulating, here's how it's going to help your customers, or serve people differently and in a better way, and help their financial wellness, right, which is our mission. But also, this is good for your business, right? These are new technologies that are going to digitize, that are, for instance, like virtual ATMs and meeting people where they're at. Maybe they don't have a bank branch, right? Or ways to really get more into, everyone's into mobile banking and meeting them where they're at. So like, they're really good technologies from a business perspective, and that's really important too. So we look for good businesses, and also, of course, mission driven technologies that we believe really will help people's lives. And as you know, we work in a multiplier effect. So it's different than other nonprofits, I think, where you're in the community, working one on one with people. How we work is we really are scaling these companies and technologies so that, if we help one company and then they have thousands of products in market sold through financial institutions, they're touching people's lives. They're helping those thousands of people. And so that's how we really see the biggest impact. I don't know, Ryan, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I'll add just a little bit because I think everything you mentioned is perfect. But some of the challenges we do run into are helping people to see that purpose and bottom line together. But I think, you know, the fact that Cafe can really help our bankers or individuals who maybe haven't had that type of lens, or they haven't been looking through that type of lens recently. I think it really, the way I like to kind of describe it is it's similar to the way calculators help us do math better. It's the way AI is helping to, do tasks and all kinds of things that we can automate. Those are just tools to help us do a better job at what our ultimate mission is. And I think that's really what we help the banks and those individuals better understand is, when you team up with this fintech, it's going to help you better meet your clients and your customers, but it's also going to be a good bottom line decision. And I think that's really instrumental to making sure that they see the value that Cafe brings.
So, since you mentioned the word AI, I can't let you go before we talk a little bit more about AI and agents, because we have to talk about that. From customer support, we've seen tons of solutions with chatbot. We've seen lending where they do alternate credit decisioning. We've seen personalized financial guidance where they take a look at your data set and your spending habits and they create ways to help you save, for example. Going forward, what role do you see AI play in helping close the financial gap and the equity gap and wealth and income gap between communities?
If I may, I'll kind of kick off with what I was just saying a moment ago. I think AI really will be that tool that'll help get individuals thinking that doing good for being out there in the community and choosing a product that's going to help meet more clients or more customers, or it's going to help a group of people who we haven't historically helped, helping them actually see that that's a good business decision. I think that ultimately is what AI is going to really reveal. And then it's just going to need to be delivered in a way that is keeping the customer and the owner of their data in their hands, I think. And we have some really great fintechs who are helping banks to understand how to do that effectively while still then making that a viable tool and a valuable tool for both the fintech and the bank. But I'll let Kristen kind of, I guess, explain a little bit more about what she thinks too.
Yeah, so I'll take it from the other side. I think AI is going to help us on personalization at scale to actually reach all different demographics of people in new ways, in their lives and how they'd like to be reached. And it's not, the products now don't have to be cookie cutter, right? Because AI can help um, in different ways of just really personalizing and understanding clients with data, with really digging in that way and assisting. I don't think AI is going to take everyone's jobs. Like I think it's really important to still have people in the financial institutions, in the system, and working with and be supported with that. But there's a huge opportunity here to be able to really personalize at scale and meet people where they're at and really help their financial wellness. And so all the product types, Theo, you mentioned, are types of fintechs that we work with in Cafe, kind of across all those different areas.
I know that's where I got the inspiration from. It's from the cohorts that you
Yeah, and
have.
you and
Yeah.
thank you for meeting them. Theo comes and meets all of our fintechs and incredible guidance for them. So appreciate that.
It's been fun. You guys have really good founders and founders who are smart, but founders who have an amazing big heart. And you know what? I often tell people, you can teach people how to code. You can teach people how to write business case. You cannot teach them to be good people. So that you pick well. I
Yeah,
have to say.
that's number one thing we have is the culture. We want to know your why coming in. We want to know your passion. You find you're passionate about solving this big problem. You've seen the world and you've built the tech. You've left your big corporate job and you made a lot of money and now you're or not and you're like, I really need to leave and build this because it's burning and like I really want to help people in this way through technology. And we just get the amazing people is number one for us.
That's the only way that can keep people, just keep them get going, right? It's like uh that's the one thing that get you out of bed in the morning, as the passion and the drive to want to do something that's meaningful beyond just money. Money is important. Keep the lights on, but there's more to life than that. So looking ahead, gosh, we're at end of the year. I don't know what happened this year. It flew away. But what is the one area, if you have to pick one area of financial services that you believe is ripe for disruption, but we have not paid enough attention to it? If you were to pick a winner, what would that be?
Ryan, do you want to go first? There's so
I'll
many.
let,
There's no right
I
or wrong
know.
answer.
I'll let you go first, Kristen.
Well, I do think so. This is not something we haven't paid attention to. All right, a few things. I think everyone is paying attention now to this, but there's a lot of opportunity here in the instant payments space, and I'm very excited about the application of blockchain, maybe stablecoin, but I want to separate them in terms of when you're trying to transfer money, or it's crazy that it would take days, right, at these institutions. Like, how do we actually get instant, like we're instantly on Zoom with people across the globe, instant payments, and so there's a lot in the space. Though I know all the banks are talking about that now and building in that space, which is exciting. The other thing that's exciting to me, there's probably applications to finance here, but just in general is augmented reality and AR, because I think that's going to totally change all our lives in the mixed reality and how we live. Like eventually having contacts and having, it's a little scary about what you're going to be seeing in real life and also virtually, but I think it's coming, and I think it's going to totally change our society. So, Ryan.
I love that. Yeah, I guess, I think a couple things. One that has come up, especially the more events that I've gone to recently with VCs or people who are in the ownership of being, whether you're a founder or a VC, you're always thinking of ownership. And I know we've seen things change around ownership, whether, we have more or employee owned businesses now. But I think, with some of the new laws that have come around, I think the ability for ownership to be truly democratized and for there to be less of a gap, if you will, from the CEO all the way down to your frontline workers through ownership and through ways in which we can actually help, you know, kind of give that ownership to individuals, but then also they can use that towards their future retirement and future, life choices and life events that are usually financially situated. I think that's going to be one of the things that AI, and really this whole space is going to disrupt to hopefully make the playing field a little bit more equal. So that's kind of what I'm hopeful and excited about.
I really like that. Yeah, and that could be the tokenized ownership as
Mhm.
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I was waiting for you to say that word, Kristen. It was right on
Coming
cue.
for us. It's coming for us. I mean, why do we go to the doctors and have to fill out forms every time, manually and other things like that and at the bank? So, anyway.
Or keep repeating the same information in four
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
pages
Yeah.
so that you can hand it in and then they photocopy.
Yeah.
There's that. Oh my goodness. There's got to be better way
Hmm.
for us to do things. And I can wholeheartedly relate to your point about instant payments as well. You see the money being withdrawn from, let's say, my client side. And then they said, okay, you see something in about 3 days. You get a notice from your bank. Yep, something comes and you have access to it in another 3 days. All in 6 days. Where is the money? Right? And having instant access and faster access to funds can help small business owners, micro entrepreneurs, just keep money moving faster. I think is really important. The tech has been there. It's a matter of us bridging the gap and bringing it to the people that we need and meet them where they are. I'm borrowing your words, both of you. So I
Beautiful. I
look
love that.
I'm trying to string them together. I look forward to the magic that Cafe will bring to bear the next cohort and beyond. And until then, thank you so much, Kristen and Ryan, for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure to talk to you both. And
Thank you so
thank you
much,
all.
Theo. Yeah, I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Tia.
And thanks for your leadership in the space. Just in, I'm learning a lot from you just on AI, but also love, obviously your human centered approach in thought leadership across the globe. So really appreciate it. And thank you so much for having us in Cafe today.
Yeah,
Yeah, really
yeah.
appreciate it, Tia.
Thank you. And Ryan, you and I still need to meet in person, right? Now through
Yes,
the screen one day.
exactly.
I look forward to it. And until then, stay well, be well, and be the good humans that you both are. And for the rest of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of One Vision. We'll talk to you next week.